welcome to Jewish Midlife. Hi, I'm Devara Krasniansky, and in this episode, I'm thrilled to have Chaya Sara Gurewicz join me to speak about expanding consciousness and personal growth. Chaya Sara brings a wealth of experience and a deep passion for helping people heal and transform their lives. And in our conversation, she shares her unique approach to coaching, which focuses on exploring past experiences and transcending the ego for true healing. We dive into the powerful techniques of breathwork, crying, screaming, dancing, movement, and the importance of community in the healing process. We also explore the profound beauty of solitude for fostering genuine self connection and self discovery. So join us for this insightful and inspiring conversation as we uncover the paths to healing, growth, and embracing our true selves. Here we go. So here we are, Chaya Sara. I so enjoy talking to you all the time. So I wanted to record a conversation so that other people can really tap into your wisdom and your energy. So let's go straight to it. There's so much to talk about. But before, do you want to just talk a little bit about what you do? And so give some context of our wonderful conversations.
Sure. Thank you. So good to be here and just see you. This was such a good excuse to get together. So happy for that. What do? I do whatever I can, whatever it takes in my permission to help people expand their consciousness, let go of the past, not just let go of the past, but really delve into it and sit in it and understand why that was perfect for the mission that they're in today. And even that, it's hard to put it into words because I kind of do whatever is needed, whatever shows up in the moment. I stay with it. I try to let go of agenda. I have like a million, I'm a coach and I do healing retreats, a lot of them. And what I try to do most is to have as much knowledge as I possibly can, pack it all in, know it all, and then drop it when I'm working with someone and not have any preconceived ideas of what I'm going to do with them, but more like let all that knowledge sit in me and then let it come out as it will with the person and kind of get myself out of the way so that Hashem's healing can come in because people want to heal. People are ready to heal when they're ready. And that's sometimes my question to people, like, are you ready? Maybe you want to hold on to this a little longer, and that's okay. So it's a very organic process, and it's amazing. When you really get out of the way, Hashem is always there, like always. And every leaf that falls and every word that comes out, it's all divinely ordained.
Oh. So you work with all kinds of different modalities. It's not only talk conversations.
No, the talking is just to get to the root. I like to work with root. Like, what's really underlying this? What's really what are you really feeling? Like, I could stop someone in the middle of their talking and just be like, can you just stop for 1 minute? And what are you really saying? So there's the narrative, there's the story, and then there's the objective narrative. What are you really saying? What are you actually saying? You can tell me an hour-long story about your spouse, and underneath it all, what are you saying? What you're saying might be, I need more love. I need to be seen. I just want to be held. And it could be so simple, but we often take ourselves to many different places along the way instead of just being with that deep place.
So it's a hard question to face. And so that's why some people kind of put up all kinds of stories without really talking to the work. But you also work with the other modalities like breathwork and other things. So I just find the whole breathwork fascinating. There's a lot of talk about what that is. So as we talk about all the things that we can talk about, because I just love talking to you. But let's just talk about the power of breathwork. Firstly, what is it for those who don't know? And then let's talk about what breathwork can do. And later maybe we talk about the experience of it.
Okay. So I believe that all true healing doesn't happen in your mind. It doesn't happen in your sort of ego self. Like your mind chatter, the part of you that's telling your story, the part of you that's creating a story that makes sense in your head. From that place, I don't think there's a whole lot of healing when you're stuck in your mind. So the true healing happens when you can get that ego self. And by ego, I don't mean Balgaiva. I just mean like that the ego is the self that's kind of running your life, making it all make sense from a place of survival. So true healing happens when you can get that ego out of the way. And really, anything you do that gets the ego out of the way is where it happens. It could be you might take a jog or take a run or take a walk and listen to music, and you're getting your ego out of the way. You're giving yourself space to stop thinking, to just allow something else to come in. And then you feel better. You don't know why. Because I wasn't sitting there with this constant record playing. So whether it's taking a cold plunge, whether it's breath work, which I'll talk about if you want me to, any modality that gets you out of your ego, listening to a meditation, doing jumping jacks, I don't really care. Like, you got to get that ego out of the way long enough to give you an opportunity to feel your soul, to feel your connection with Hashem, which is ultimately where the healing is. Because as long as we feel separate, our ego kind of keeps us separate. I'm alone. I've been abandoned. There's no God, or God is mean, or whatever it is. There's like a lot of wild, crazy thoughts that go through people's heads. Not mine, of course. But
Not anymore.
yeah. Why do you think I'm doing this? So the breath work is one way. It's actually one of the greatest ways and one of the safest ways to do some really deep healing work, because it really, the breath, which Hashem blew into you when you were born, which is sometimes the only way to calm down and connect to yourself, is to really just stop and breathe. It's a tool, and it's always there and it's always available, which is like why it's one of my favorite modalities, because people can go home and do it themselves because you breathe all the time. And it's a very powerful tool. And there's many different types of breathing that bring different results. For instance, when you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, you're calming down your nervous system. You're saying, I'm safe. So sometimes, let's say you're in traffic and you're thinking the crazy thoughts, and you'd say, wait a minute, I'm right where I need to be. And you get out of fight or flight with that one breath. It's extremely powerful. So if you can, I often tell people, just put it on your phone to do that one cleansing breath once an hour. And then breathing, there's so many types of different breath work. There's breathing in through your mouth and out through your mouth, just subtly, like
A big sigh.
yeah. And again, you're telling yourself to slow down, because the ego goes very fast, and then we want to slow it down and like get it out of the way. Like, here, ego, go sit there. Let's walk you out of the room so that I can like experience myself in a new way. So the breath work that I practice mostly, because it's like, I'm very results oriented. I like it to like, I want it to work fast. Let's do it. But I'm also learning that like there are other ways of doing it. I'm always learning and I'm always growing and I'm always evolving. Like whatever I want to know the latest ways of healing. I'm obsessed with healing. I'm obsessed with what gets rid of trauma, what helps our bodies, minds, hearts, souls be clean and clear and feeling good. So the breath work that I practice a lot, that's pretty fast in getting you there, is it's called a rebirthing method, and it's in through the mouth through a straw. So it's like, and if you do it constantly for an hour, like an energy cycle is about an hour, give or take, for different kinds of people. Some people can get there faster. Some people can need like 2 hours or 3 hours. I mean, it happens. but usually it's about an hour, and it's hard. It's called breath work because it's work. So it's like the first part of it, the first maybe 15, 20 minutes, you're going in and out, you're going consistently. There's no pause between breaths. And then you start to get like tingly, you can get tingly, you can feel dizzy, which are good signs. Like if you can continue in that vein and push through it, push through all the sensations, push through all the bodily sensations, the dry mouth, the there's many other things that can distract you, or you could be like, wait, I have to go to the bathroom, because your mind is keeps on keeping you away from letting go. Because if you let go, you might not survive. Something might happen to you, God forbid. So this is needs to be done in a safe setting where you can let go. And that's what I hope to be always holding, a very safe space that people can just let it all out. And like, thank God they do. And it's an incredible experience to hold someone in breath work, because you never know what's going to happen. You have no idea what can come out, because what happens is as you breathe and you let go, anything can come streaming in, whatever is ready to be released, whatever is ready to be worked on. You have to trust yourself that what is supposed to happen will happen. No expectations. We set the container with like, you cannot compare yourself with others. I really like doing private breath work so I can really monitor every breath and just be there and see what's going on. But we do it in groups, and we tell the groups to like absolutely promise not to compare themselves. Anything can happen and nothing has to happen. It could just be an experience of, okay, I oxygenated myself. There's no must or should, but like anything can happen. And we have seen the craziest shifts in people, that last week we ran a breathwork in Hollywood, and there was a woman, we were debriefing at the end, and like this woman was like weeping, and she said, I found myself in the body of a hostage. I don't want to scare any of your listeners who have never done breath work. This isn't so usual, but it's like anything can happen. And she said she felt everything this woman was feeling as a hostage. And she said what she realized is, through the horror of what she was experiencing, she saw that the only thing this person had is Hashem. And she saw, like, within her pain and within her horror, she could feel Hashem, like only Hashem could help her. And then she looked at all of us and she said, we all only have Hashem. And it was like, this has been sitting with me for a week since did that breath work with her. And I'm just blown away. And I've been sort of sending that breath and that message to hostages, if I can, like, if there's anything I can do to like just be with them and send them the trust and faith that they're exactly where they need to be, and that Hashem has got their back. And if they're breathing and they're alive, then Hashem has commanded it that way. So it's been very powerful. So as a practitioner, it's extremely powerful to be with someone, and it's humbling.
Right. So that's I think a big story. Like, most people are not getting into other people, but like, what is a typical? I know we can't compare, and there's no real typical, but what are people trying to, or hoping, or why are they coming to do some breath work? What are they really trying to heal? What are they trying to access?
So it could be for anything. It could be for health. It could be like, it's just really good to empty out trauma. We all have trauma. Every day can be little traumas. And it's just a really healthy practice to just empty out. So it could be simple as that. It could be accessing the inner child. We talked about that a little bit. The inner child that is sad, that feels alone, that feels whatever they feel. It can access that. It can access a loved one that passed away. I've seen that many, many times, where they're doing the breath work and there's crying, and later they say, I saw my father, I saw my grandmother. Um, it could be for grief, just to release, just a time to like kick and scream and breathe and cry. So whatever the person needs, it can be for any reason. It's just a good practice, a healthy practice.
So there's regular breathing, like you said, like we can do it in the car, which is like just for it's I think like what I'm understanding then is more temporary because it's gonna come some other stress is gonna come again and we'll need to breathe, like you said, do it every hour. And then there's like this deeper work, which you can't be doing just an hour all the time. And
Right.
it's really to access something deeper
Schedule.
and
Yeah, so you want to schedule it for yourself. Lock yourself in a room. If there's any people in the house or your kids, just tell them they might hear screaming. you know, there is something called a scream pillow you can buy on Amazon, where like if you feel like you need to scream, it's anyways a good thing to have. You just put your face in the pillow and scream. So that's something you can do, because a lot of times it brings up a lot of emotion. So you don't want to suppress that. It's bringing up the emotion that you've been suppressing. So you don't want to suppress that.
so scream even without the whole breath work, just screaming, crying is a release. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Sure.
So go for it. Why is the power of finally getting that good cry? Like a lot of us were like, be strong. And I think that by the time we get to a certain age and stage, and we're like, I've been strong enough for so long. Let's let it go. But let's talk a little bit about it.
Okay. Hashem gave us many, many ways. Hashem gave us everything we need to release trauma. Hashem gave us everything we need to live in this world, this olam hatikun. Tears have healing hormones in them. So if you keep stopping yourself from crying, you're missing the opportunity to release it. And we all know, I think we all know, that the mind and the body have a huge connection. And if you're God forbid sick with anything, you need to look inside. Where did I not express myself? Let's say even a cold. Sometimes a cold comes because there needs to be an expression and it's been bottled up. So the cold forces it. So sometimes life forces us to release in ways that we don't want. So releasing on a weekly basis. Hashem gave us this. I mean, I do it every night. I try just even like 10 minutes just to get in bed, hold your belly, and just breathe out whatever happened today. Just keep on emptying. So the crying is one great way of releasing. Crying, I mean, when people tell me they can't cry, it's like so much suppression, and it's not necessary. I think one of the reasons people don't want to cry is they think if they cry, they'll cry forever. They'll never stop. Do you relate to that?
I hear that when I did the crying for whatever was going on for me is like it did end. Like the
It does end.
the acceptance of the reality and the crying does end. It does feel like a lot.
Yeah.
But
It does. It's intense.
for some people, like everything they were holding in for so long is going to explode out. And so like that's all part of it and just let it be and maybe find a more private place to do it if you so want to. I
Yeah.
feel like the crying for me at least was very releasing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
solving, but it's releasing.
Absolutely. It's so hard, because I know for me when I cry, it does feel like it's never going to end. And you're right, it does. There is a cycle to it. Emotions are energy in motion. If you let them come, they will also go. So know and trust yourself that the tears will also go. Also, the screaming, in terms of the screaming, we do a lot of trauma release, and the screaming also helps like get your power back. There's passion and anger. Oh, this is what I want to say. I keep thinking like there's something I wanted to say. Okay, let's go back to the crying for women and then I'll address this. I think I made this up, but I think sadness is the hardest emotion. I think people don't want to feel sad because sadness contains hopelessness, and we are survival beings. Hopelessness is the enemy of survival, right? So if we feel sad, or we surrender to reality sometimes and the sadness of reality, we won't know where to go from there. So I think we avoid sadness the most. And we're more comfortable in anger, because anger has passion, and anger. I made this up, so yeah, yeah, you can
A lot of it resonates. I think anger feels like you can actually
do
do
something.
something with it.
Right, right,
Something could change, and
right,
sadness is an acceptance of a hard thing.
right.
And
So
acceptance sometimes feels like the end,
yeah,
as opposed to the end of something and the beginning of something else.
exactly. Yeah, death is really sucks. Death is so hard because it's that there's no more hope when that happens. So it's like, how can I distract myself to never feel sadness? What can I do? How can I distract myself because I don't want to be with myself and feel I don't want to feel sad. But if we allow ourselves to feel sadness and we allow ourselves to cry, we will empty out that bucket and we will feel better no matter what the circumstance is, even if it's just a little better. And then a little better. And just like you learn to live with it, and you learn that when it comes, just let it. When it comes, let it.
I'm
And
wondering, you said that empty out the bucket. So as a metaphor, as a visual, it's like if the bucket is full of hard stuff, sad stuff, there's no room for, is that what I would say the bucket? Then there's no room for anything else. So we have to empty out at least some of it.
yeah,
At
yeah, I
least
think
some of it so something else can come
yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah. It's like this bucket of tears that we might be holding if we have a lot of things to be sad about. And we just like empty the bucket. Maybe it'll fill up again, but at least it's empty. I know how it feels to be empty. Yay. And then yeah,
Empty
my
in a good way, not empty as an empty,
yeah, no, empty in a really good way. Like, feels so good.
empty ready for more as opposed to empty feeling like at a loss.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Empty is good. Empty of tears is good. And then the anger is more like has so much passion in it. It has so much like hope in it. It has like, I can do this, I can fix it. And that's why I think we're way more comfortable in anger. And when we use our voices to scream it out and to get it out, it's extremely powerful. And a lot of new ideas can come in once that anger is released. How do I live in this world? What do I need to do? How do I show up? So we have a lot of different, I mean, you can go in the car and scream. That's a great place to scream if you're alone and driving.
We're talking about scream and anger, the releasing it, not at people, but just releasing
No,
it into the ether.
no, screaming at people is not a good plan. It's just it doesn't, I mean, unless it's like someone you don't care about, I guess, but like it's not going to produce any results, I don't think. But whatever, that might be too much of a generalization. But in
But
terms
when you're
of
talking about screaming, you're talking about screaming, just
just
letting out whatever
like,
sounds come out,
like yeah, just
whatever
let it out.
sound.
Yeah. So
Sort of
we
like Reb Nachman, like in the woods, if you ever seen
yes.
them.
Yeah. Yeah, I would go to the forest and scream Abba really loud. I love that. Whenever I see that on those Israeli films and stuff, I'm like,
But
yeah.
that's not for myself. I can't go to the woods and scream Abba. I don't know if it's something I'm holding myself back or if it's just not my personality. I'm just curious. Is it like everyone should be able to do that, or is something to aspire to, or is it so for some people it's not going to be there who they are at all? I'm just curious.
I'm very into like, do you trust yourself? There's no one size fits all. Do you, Devora, do you want to go to the forest and scream Abba with me one day?
You know, I'm tempted. I'm really tempted to try new things. So like I'm tempted to think about it. That's what I'm up to.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
think about thinking about it. But the idea of trying new things is very exciting to me. I don't know if that is yet on my list of like going into the forest and screaming. Going into the forest for sure. And nature for sure. The screaming part, I don't know if I said let's think about it.
You know what? You're giving me an idea. We're doing a workshop, a women's workshop in 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, and we're doing it on a ranch with 25 acres.
Oh
This
wow.
could be a facilitation, just screaming in the forest. I haven't even thought about that because we usually do mattresses. Like we'll, if someone really needs to express anger, we'll go behind each other with a big mattress and hold it up and just let her punch
Right.
and get it out, punch and scream, punch and scream, punch and scream. like if you've been a victim or you've been hurt and you want to get that out, and say no. Maybe you want to say no and
Okay.
scream no and punch, and like it's very releasing. So you just gave me an idea because we've never done it at this place, and there's literally, you can't see any other properties around it. So I like it. Maybe someone wants, maybe that could be like a whole facilitation, just scream Abba for like an hour. I don't know.
I
Good
guess
thought.
so some people would may want to. I'm just curious now what you're saying about punching. So you were saying like you hold the mattress. I'm just wondering if someone can actually like lay down into their own mattress or even onto the ground or into the sand of the beach or whatever. Like what is the vertical or the heart or does it really matter?
Well, it's like it gives you a way to like use your arms and use everything you got to punch. If you want to punch the floor, you can punch the floor. You want to punch the mattress on the floor, yeah. Like on all fours, whatever you want to do. We just, whatever the moment calls for is what we do.
So punching doesn't really matter if you're it doesn't necessarily need to be vertical. I mean, I guess you're using your muscles in a different way, but it
No,
doesn't matter. It's really about releasing because like the action of
yeah,
punching.
yeah, just the
You
releasing.
get a good punch bag or go to the gym that has a punch bag. That could be just
Yeah,
as fun.
yes, yes. We need a punching bag.
How about dancing?
Dancing is definitely a great release. It's such a good release, absolutely. And the dancing usually happens organically, like on our workshops, let's say, the dancing will happen. It's like what's that pasuk? Um, Ein Adam Shar Shira Ela Mitach Simcha. Like there's like when there's when there's simcha of like releasing all this stuff and being seen and being felt and being heard and being loved and being cried with. And then there's all of a sudden this spontaneous dancing. I have chills when I think about it because it's so beautiful to
I
see
also
people.
see dancing is not necessarily simcha, like this.
Oh,
I guess
yes,
movement, maybe not
expression.
dancing,
Yes,
but like just moving, like just
yes,
being allowed
yes,
to move with however the music moves you. And I just
yes.
find that more recently I've been actually closing my eyes as I listen to music and just let it do what it does, and it's kind of like re-energizing and like I didn't do that when I was younger, like just let the music move me. And I've always was in awe of those who can actually really, really move. Like I'm actually when as I watched the Nova Festival, I see a lot of people were moving in that way. And so I
Wow.
mean it's I guess they are more in tune and more spiritual in as
Wow.
far as moving that way, but I just find that the whole let the music or let the sounds, it's not even necessarily music. It's like
You
let
mean
the sounds
like
go with
what
you.
they were doing, like kind of trance music where they were just like moving with the flow.
Yeah, or like when I went to Israel at the Moshav band, and there were some people that really can get into that music, like just that whole music festival. And some of us were just like standing and enjoying the music, but there's some people that really let it get to their self and just however they move.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Deborah. You want to work on a retreat with me?
I'm
Love
actually
it.
busy that weekend, but that retreat sounds really cool.
Yeah, I just want I would you like to hear a story? So I was at Shul and there was a guy who got up and was speaking and about he was my friend's nephew and he was speaking about how he was at the Nova and he was telling his whole story in front of the whole Shul. And I was watching him and I'm like, oh my God, this is months later and he's in like first stage trauma. And I just went over to her and I'm like, he needs help. She's like, I know he's crying every day. I'm like, send him over to me. I'm going to do some breath work with him. And he came over and I did breath work with him. I had another male practitioner that I called over and we did it together. And it was so unbelievable. It was so unbelievable. And he released so much. And it was so afterwards, he was so grateful. And I was like, we're doing a men's retreat in Costa Rica next week. Do you want to join us? And he's like, funny, I'm going to Costa Rica and I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to all these places around there. And he's like, but I already have my tickets. And the next morning, his aunt called me. She's like, he needs to go to the retreat. So he changed his tickets and he came. And it was just like this very Israeli guy with a lot of these like from people who are on the retreat. Not everybody's necessarily from, but it was filled with, very from people. And there's this Chiloni Israeli guy who doesn't speak a word of English. So we were started off with a night circle. No, we started off with dinner and then a night circle. So we did dinner and then we were going on to the beach where we were staying to do a night circle. And he was sitting on the steps, like smoking and smoking. And I was just came over to him like, what's going on? And he starts crying and he's like, I don't know where I am. Like imagine like his whole life just shattered. And now all of a sudden he's with this group of from people and he was just like, so we went to the circle and I said to the guys, like, we can't move on with this retreat until we address this guy because his pain is so much. We can't just chit chat about nothing. We have this person in our midst. So so I said, just, tell your story. So he told his whole story right there. And I said to him, what can we do for you? And I literally the whole time I was like, Hashem, like, what can I do with this group and with this guy? Like, this is so much. So I asked him if he was open to something interesting, and he was. And I said, because he had started to say, like he wasn't really connecting to it emotionally, but telling the story like it was happening to someone else. And I said to him, can you? So when he started to crack at the end and he talked about his girlfriend who died. And then I said to him, and his other friends who died. Oh, because yeah, whatever. I got him there to the little bit of emotion. I said, what would you want to say to Hamas? And he said, you killed my friends. And that's when I went, okay. So I said, everyone here, all the guys are going to become your friends who died. And they're all going to give you a chance to speak to them and to say goodbye. I'm going to cry when I say it, but it was so all the guys, they were so beautiful. Oh, sorry. They all lined up. Hold on, someone's calling in. They lined up one by one and I said, okay, who is this? And he was like, this is Gal and this is Yosef. And he just was like hugging them and crying and weeping. The guys were weeping with him. He was weeping. And then one of the guys at the end, like they became like an immediate family. And one of the guys turned on this Israeli trance music and we recreated the party basically. So they were all dancing, like they were following him. He was doing his little trance moves and they were all following him. And it was the most incredible because his life stopped at a party. And so not only with all the things he went through, it was like he was up all night at a party and then that was like over and then moved into this like traumatized life. So they gave him a chance to heal. And he sent me a really beautiful testimonial. So if anyone wants it, they can contact me and I'll send it to them. He allows me to share it. But so like anything can happen when you really want it to happen, when you want the healing to happen. Everybody wants the healing to happen. And just get out of the way and just like keep asking, like, what can I do? What can I do? Open that space. Instead of me thinking, how can I use my expertise in creating something for him? It was more like, I'm on my knees, like, Abba, Abba, help me. And that happens a lot in the work. Happens a
I
lot.
find it fascinating because as a group, they gave to him, but in turn, they received for themselves. Like, I think that the whole idea of contributing to others is a big part of healing. And so that's the power of a group as opposed to doing it one-on-one.
Yeah,
Because one-on-one, you're only the recipient. You're not really giving to others. And I feel like in the group, I feel like just in general, as even friends who are equals, not when sometimes there's like a inequality in friendships, which is a whole different conversation. But when we're equals and we're both giving and receiving, then we're both contributing to each other's lives, which is of course the one who's receiving it is benefiting, but as the giver, we're also benefiting. And I feel like that's an important piece of friendship that is so important. And I think also in group work as opposed to individual work, which is why retreats are so wonderful. I mean, of course, there's the setting and there's everything else, but just the fact that we are working together is such a powerful part of retreats.
totally. Yeah. It's amazing. There's like what we can create in a group together. First of all, there's never two retreats that are the same because it depends on the group.
Of course.
Um, and and what the group can create is just organic and beautiful. I think this is how we were meant to be in community instead of like in our own little houses, our own little pods, all alone and doing this lifetime alone. It's hard.
I think especially in midlife when our lives are changing so much that the people who were in our lives, like even if our kids are not so in our lives because or they shouldn't be, I think we should allow them the space to be the adults that they are going to be. That
Right.
we do need new people in our lives, and I think retreats and just in general being able to give to others. I think that is and this is just something that's been ruminating in my mind. As a parent, we were a little bit vertical, like we were the parent, the child. And as we get to midlife, we're still the parent to our child, but we're not spending as much time in that like parenting them. More we're helping them or being part of their lives, not telling them what to do, or definitely ought not to be telling them what to do. And that our lives become a little bit more horizontal with more people, and there's room for more people in our horizontal life and friends. And it doesn't matter what age they are, but the idea of bringing new people into our lives and just and when we have new people in our lives, we're contributing and we also have to be able to receive. And that's a whole other part of, I think, for many of us, we were always so much giving as mothers, as wives, and then being able to receive from others. Because we were, if we give to friends, then they are receiving. They also should be getting the benefit of giving. So we should also be receiving. And sometimes receiving means to be asking so that they could be giving so that you can be receiving. I think that honesty and that vulnerability is what's so wonderful about midlife is that we could really be in that space of asking for what we need or even what we want and being able to receive it and to be creating a space for friends to be asking so that they can receive. And I'm just loving that whole aspect of midlife
Mm,
that maybe we could have done a little bit earlier, but I think that we were busier
yeah.
and our
Yeah.
role was different. So that now it's that change of role, which is so exciting.
That's
It's
really
new
cool.
and new.
I never thought of it that way, but I love what you're saying because I'm like so busy trying to be okay being alone. Like, how do I do this? Okay, who's me? After all those years of being in that like automated position, now I'm like, what do I do?
I
So,
think that the aloneness is I think we could only be able to really give and receive when we're okay with the who we are alone. Now, alone is very different than lonely, but it's like really knowing who I am so that I'm confident enough to ask and receive and give. And when it's not possible because other people have other things going on in their lives, to be okay with being alone. I mean, I find myself pretty interesting. I just heard this new concept and I'm playing it out a little bit of solo dating, like not waiting to for someone to go with me if I want to go someplace. Just go by myself. Take myself out on a date. Not in a lonely kind of way. It's just like there's no one who's available that so go yourself. And exploring the city by myself is a whole new way of exploring it. I'm finding it fascinating. It's like I can go do exactly how I want to do it. If I'm bored at this one place, I could leave without having to explain to somebody that I'm want to leave now. Or if I'm fascinated by something, I don't have to work it out with someone else's interests to stay there. I just find the whole I don't want
uh,
to do it all the time. I think it was fun, wonderful to be with other people. But if other people's schedules don't work out, that I can just explore the city myself.
it is very valuable to hear you say that. And I think for a lot of people, I would assume that would be extremely valuable to hear you talk like that. You don't hear people talk like that so much. And I think there's an MS in there that maybe people would be afraid to admit. But yeah, I love it. Thank you.
I love traveling myself. There's something wonderful about my own schedule and changing it or trying something that without having to explain it or try to get someone into it or try to make it work, like try to balance out what they like, what I like. Of course, there's a place for that. I'm not saying never to do that, but the fact that I could do it this way too. So I'm really enjoying my aloneness sometimes or my solitude. I think it's the word I'm going to try to use more. My solitude rather than alone and which even though alone is, I think, is fine, it has a little connotation of lonely, or it sounds a little bit like lonely. So I rather use the word solitude. I have to keep reminding myself that the word that I prefer is
Yeah, for
solitude.
me, yeah, I think it's like for me, the word is like inner quiet. Like, can I sit in my inner quiet? Um, and how can
Yeah.
I, yeah, be with
I
myself?
like the inner quiet, but when I'm actually going to the city, I don't see the inner quiet as the thing.
Right, for sure.
So yeah, last week I walked actually from Brooklyn all the way to Union Square, went through all the different neighborhoods of Brooklyn. It was really, I found it fascinating, but
Uh,
I could see why someone wouldn't.
and the
But
season is
I
so
enjoyed my
beautiful.
own company and my own explorations, and decided to go down this street and then that street and then the other street and stop and look at the daffodils, like just whatever.
I'm gonna send you a song after this that you're reminding me of. Okay.
Yeah, I love your songs. You always have something interesting music. I think that's another thing, is I just can now just listen to music, to the lyrics, to the words, and see how I take it in. I'm just finding that not being so responsible to all the laundry and the carpools has a whole new inner space for me.
That's so cool. It's true. True. It's true. I tend to be very romantic and rosy about the past. And I realize that it's just, I'm like that. I'm poetic and I like, and it doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve me. What you're saying serves me much better. I want to do that more.
Well, let's do that. I mean, then you don't have to compare notes, but just share like where you went, and maybe there's something in what you did that's in a place that I didn't hear of, or like different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there is a lot to do in South Florida. There's more to do in New York. That is true, but
Yeah.
South Florida has some things that you and I maybe can share ideas.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, and
Snorkeling.
definitely we can go
I want
together
to, what?
sometimes. Sometime I can definitely go together,
Okay.
but
We
the
can go
idea,
together and just be silent together. That's okay too.
that's okay too.
Yeah, totally.
You don't have to talk for 3 hours straight just because we're standing next to each
As
other.
long as there's food involved, I'm in.
Hmm. I don't know. The food is not the exciting part for me.
Hmm. Okay. I'll eat.
In South Florida, as long as there's water.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you. Cool.
So, hi, sorry. Let's talk about your retreat that's coming up.
Okay. Thank you. I have a retreat coming up all the time. I'm always in a retreat mode. So I have one coming up on May 30th. It might be full as of today. I don't know. There might be a couple of spaces left. I really don't know. My registrar, Talia, Talia,
Right.
she did it. So I can put people in touch with her if they want to get on a waiting list. We always have a waiting list because people like, okay, I can't come to this one, but we'll let you know when the next one is. There's never pushing. We don't push people to come, and it's all word of mouth. We barely advertise. Sorry, I'm just turning my do not disturb on. Um, and it's a life altering experience. I did my weekend in the Goyish world 20 years ago, and it was it was the turning point. A retreat can be a really good retreat, can be a turning point, but people have to always remember that it is just an opening. It's a door opening. And the real work happens after the retreat. We have, I think, 11 groups running on Zoom, which are called check in circles. And if you've come to the retreat, you get into the check in circle, and every week you're back in the zone with your people. Not always the same people from your retreat because there's so many different times to choose from. So it gives you the opportunity to be in the zone with people who have done the work. And it's really all about changing your perspective here because we can't always change what happens in life, what happens to us, what our circumstances have been, what our stories are, but we can learn deep tools to feel better on a daily basis, to live better, because the quality of your life can only be as good as the quality of your thoughts. And if your thought quality isn't good, if you're thinking yucky thoughts when you wake up in the morning or all day, or I'm not enough, or I fail, I'm a failure, or whatever it is that you're thinking is is almost the opposite of the truth and the opposite of what's going to help you fulfill your life mission. So we just want you to be the best you that you can be, and we're really want this expansion for everybody. And like, imagine living in a world where people are walking around just loving themselves and knowing the truth. I'm precious. Hashem gave me breath today. Hashem gave me life today. You must think I really matter. And because all those others, like stories from childhood or stories that we told ourselves according to the experiences we had, those are not getting us anywhere. We're spinning lower and lower and giving and passing that to the next generation. So how are we going to greet a world of Mashiach, which is way above Seichel and it's way above Teva, if we are living in this, if our consciousness is so small? So it's all about
And
expansion.
that's one of your passions, is this whole expanding of consciousness.
Yeah.
And I find that it's fascinating is that when someone has expanded themselves, around them feels expanded, and really it's contagious. Like when someone acts different, the people around them act differently. So if we just get to one person in a circle, it could trickle out to the rest of the circle.
Yeah.
If someone wants to be the one who in their family or in their circle starts the healing, it trickles out to others.
And that's all you can ever do.
So
All you
yourself.
can ever do is be your own best self, get clear on what that is, get clear on who you are, get clear on what you're here to do, get clear on how precious you are, get clear on how amazing and phenomenal you are for everything you've been through, and keep on trying to do. I mean, when you live like that, everything changes, everything shifts. And if you think about the idea of like, what are we doing? We're making a dir b'tachtainim. We're here to make a dwelling place for God and to help the Shekhinah. I always say it like, we want the Shekhinah to feel safe here. How can the Shekhinah feel safe here if we are filled with bitterness and negativity and judgments on others and judgments on ourselves, and like, we're smiling on the outside, but it's all fake. It's all like, there's this, like, you have no idea what's going on underneath someone's persona on the outside. And so we really need to go inside out and really heal all of that so that we can collectively create a safe space for the Shekhinah. So it's ultimately about about creating safe space for Shekhinah, for Mashiach to know that, yeah, you're safe. You could come. We got you. We're ready. We're expanded. Our thoughts are with you. Our thoughts are in alignment. Our lives are in alignment. We accept. We're in surrender. We don't keep fighting life. Yeah.
You keep using the word heal, and I think I agree with all that. The word heal is like rubbing me a little bit, as if something was broken. Maybe I'm a word nerd and the words really like get to me, but the word heal, I'm just wondering if there's another way, like maybe uplift our life or enhance our life rather than heal, which sounds like I wasn't good till now. I don't know,
So,
something about it.
Laura, tell me what's coming up for you around this word. Where is
I
it
think
rubbing you? Where is it rubbing you?
I think the word heal is just meaning that there was something off before, and the word changing it to something like uplifting, meaning that it was good, it was what it was supposed to be, and now we can make it even more wonderful. Heal just sounds like everything till now was off, was wrong, was broken.
Okay, and just for the sake of, for the fun of it, why is it a problem? I'm going to give you the 5 whys if it's okay.
Good.
Why is it a problem? Not because I don't, like, I'm just going with you. This has nothing to do with me.
Good.
Why is it a problem if something was wrong or broken and then it has to get fixed? Why is that a problem?
I think that it's part of the healing is like it just feels more empowering that I was okay and I'm going up rather than there was something broken. Of course I don't think that there's anything wrong with someone who was broken or had a very tough whatever. I just feel like the nuances of the word could feel like there's a better choice, a more uplifting choice, like uplift rather than heal, which has the connotation that there was something wrong before.
Okay, and so uplift. So So why is it a problem to say a word that doesn't uplift?
I love playing with
Kind of.
words. I love
Okay.
I love playing with words. So this is I just feel like there's more power. There's potentially more power in using a word that's more powerful than using a more neutral word or even a word that has negative connotation.
Okay, why is it a problem? This is the 5 whys, so we do this 5
Yeah.
times before we get to the bottom. So why is it a problem to not feel powerful? Is that the good question?
It's a fair question. Again, all comes down to the energy around and the potential of the energy. Like the more I feel energized, I feel like the more quickly we can get to the energy. And if we're like sort of like when the Rebbe said not to use certain words because the energy, and to use other words, I feel like heal is in that category of not the best choice of word for what's happening.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that when you hear the word heal, you sense that it is a word that could be hurtful maybe to someone who's feels like maybe there's an ego in it.
Mm, maybe I'm
Okay.
just maybe there's that ego in it. I just feel like it's still not the best choice. And
Okay.
no, I don't want to go for best either. I don't like to use absolutes, but I feel like there are better words that are just more empowering. Like there is a certain sense of when you're in that inferior to your ideal, then it could be empowering or it could make you want to move forward. It's still an inferior and it's not comfortable, but it's empowering. I feel like healing doesn't have that same, I don't know. It's just not.
I hear you. I'm listening and I'm asking questions, but I honestly like I actually hate the word healer. I can't stand when someone says I'm a healer. It makes my skin crawl because it feels like there's oh, you're a healer and that means everyone else. I get what you're saying totally. And we can just I can use any word you want and if you can think of a word, but I do think sometimes I have to tell someone I'm a healer and and I'll say to them, I hate saying this, but we all have different neshama bents. Like
Right.
there's teachers, there's healers, there's visionaries, there's just we all have to recognize our kayches. And that Hashem made me with this kayach, Hashem made you with that kayach, Hashem made her with that kayach. And like one of my jobs is to recognize one of the things I'm good at is recognize other people's kayak or medicine, if you will. Like I like the word medicine for like, what's your medicine? What are you bringing to the world? What does Hashem give you to bring to fix? Because we're all here to fix. We're all here to fix this world. This is the olam hatikun, right? So if if we have the power to fix, then Hashem gave us some kind of medicine to fix it. So what's your thing? What do you do? I mean, I like you have so much medicine, and I see that in all of us, and even people who have bitter medicine. Some people are make you feel bad. They still have medicine because they made you feel. Yeah, this morning I got a knock on my door from someone who was just a mess about their marriage and whatever, and I'm just like, I saw the medicine in this person's spouse. Like this person is pushing you to get clear because they're making you all cloudy, and so they're the best teacher. It's bitter medicine, but it's medicine. They're helping you become very clear, like this isn't okay. And so like stay with them because they've got a lot of medicine for you because you're just all love and light and you don't see yourself. So this is like this person's giving you, yeah, anyway, that's my medicine talk. But going back to healer, do you remember what I said with the word heal in it?
You use it all the time, like throughout the whole conversation. It was just jumping at me, so I just thought I'll wait to the end.
Okay.
I was like, if there's another word that you use, but you almost always use the word heal.
Word heal.
And it's something that I've actually had conversations with a few people about it who don't like the word either. So I
Uh-huh.
was just wanted to hear, to discuss it with you because I feel like we had our lives, and if we see them as broken that needs to be healed, then I think it's almost a little bit of saying, God, that wasn't good. And
Mm,
if you just say that it was our life, but we can do even better,
yeah.
and we can have an even better life. We can work through that stuff and have a better life rather than heal it. But I guess it's
So what word
connotation. Like I said, I'm a word nerd, and so nuances really
like
get
it?
to
Word
me.
nerd. No, it's cool. No, this is important. I like it. I'm going to think about it, or we can have a conversation afterwards about it if you can't think of a word that would may help you like convey the message of the fact that what's the message? The message that okay, I worked with this Israeli soldier. Maybe that's the one you were talking about, but I said to him, if we believe there's a refuah before the makkah, we believe that. That's one of our
Right.
spiritual laws of physics, is that Hashem made the refuah before the makkah. So there must be an incredible refuah in the world. So there's like refuah nefesh, refuah haguf. Doesn't that say that there's something that needs a refuah? Something needs a refuah, needs healing. So if I think to myself, I'm not enough, I need a refuah. I need healing
Yeah.
on that. So what would be a good word to use? So I don't know, but we can talk about it. It could be like an ongoing thought for
Yeah.
brain. Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't have to be.
I hear both. I hear
Be
both.
the refuah
Heal
right
is the
now.
easy word. Heal is the easy word. It fits. But
Yeah,
before we start putting connotations to it, and once we start putting connotations, it's how it lands on us. But it is the word.
right, right. True.
It's a
I don't
word.
have a problem saying that I know the places that I've been broken, that I need healing, even in um, my early life and thinking about the way I thought or the way
Even
I
when
just,
you said it like that, there were places. Not that I needed healing. There were places that need healing.
uh-huh. So there are places that need healing. Okay, let's do that.
It's not on the I. It's not on the wholeness of who I am.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I don't need to be healed. There are places, there are parts of me that need to be healed.
You're good,
I get
Devorah.
it. Because I'm with the nuances. And that's when I work with people is like we get to the nuance of because sometimes the words I say just don't land right and the conversation doesn't until I hear the word that they're saying and I'm like, okay, we'll use their word. And it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I hear you. I think it's a nuance that is extremely it's like like it feels very whole what you're saying.
That's why I love talking to you because we just share ideas and they bounce off and then
Yeah.
incorporate new things into our lives.
Yeah, feels whole. Beautiful. Thank you.
All right, okay, Sarah. We can
You
talk
learn.
for too long, but we need,
I
yeah.
know. I know. I can talk to you forever. Um, and the Farbrengen is like sometimes just has to sit in you for a while and just like, okay, what is that came to me today? Like it's such a gift.
Well, that's what a real Farbrengen, I think, is about, is that real leave you with something to actually think about that actually resonates with what's going on in my life. And that's why I love Farbrengens with conversations rather than Farbrengens with someone talking, lecturing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why you're so much fun to talk to.
Yeah, I also think that if you feel um triggered by something, it's like it's going to prevent you. It's like this little warrior in you that should be there. You should be the warrior for yourself. You should say, "No, this isn't good." And right on the spot. Like it doesn't have to I love that you did that now instead of like later. Like this is good. Something doesn't sit well, say it. It's good. We
Yeah, it's
are our
also something that comes in midlife. It's like, yeah, like I just read this book, The Courage to be Disliked. I love the title. The book is pretty good too, but the title is amazing.
What's the name of this podcast?
Jewish midlife.
Jewish midlife. Oh my gosh.
So,
Does that mean I'm midlife? Okay. Hashem.
yeah, but that's so wonderful.
The word midlife triggers me.
Okay, let's talk about that.
No. Yeah, we could talk about that. Yeah, we could totally talk about that. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very special. It's a bracha every minute to be alive and to breathe and means Hashem commanded this breath. Hashem commanded us to be here. And it's so great. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
being
you so much, Chaya Sara.
on.
And how can people reach you? What's your website?
My website, which is under construction, it's theawakeningretreat.org. So it's TheAwakening.org. RETREAT. Yeah, theawakeningretreat.org. And Talia Edel is my registrar, and her number is 647-895-4202. If somebody wants to ask about this one, if there's still space, or wants to, and this one's in Florida, and if someone wants to just get put on the waiting list so they'll be in the loop, that's our extent of our unprofessional marketing system. But it's like we're so busy I do about 10 retreats a year, so like we're so busy that we don't stop enough to do. There are people getting on board now to help with all the logistic stuff, but it's getting better as we grow.
You also do individual work. It's not only retreats.
Right. I do individual coaching. I have private retreats. I have a couple coming tomorrow to do a private retreat. They come from all over. And I just create, if I'm working with them, I only work with like someone that I've been working with to see what's going on with them. And then I'll create a private retreat for them.
Yes.
And it's cool. It's a lot.
Right.
I'll do anything to help how do I say, not the healing process, to help the
Enhance their lives. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. We have to talk about it.
wholeness, to hold space for people to do whatever they want to do.
All right.
Something.
Something to do. We'll work on it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Chaya Sara.
Hey, you too. Good to see you.
See you later. Thank you for joining me in another fascinating conversation about midlife. If you'd like to reach me, Devora Kresniansky, to talk about your midlife or anything else, you can reach me at jewishmidlife@gmail.com. You can also find us on our website, jewishmidlife.com, and follow us on Jewish Midlife on Instagram or Facebook, and join our conversations in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Jewish Women Talk About Midlife. And share what we're doing with your friends and others in the midlife phase.